Welcome to the Generation Why Not podcast with Ruth Klein, a 6-time best-selling author, creative brand strategist, and book coach for small businesses, entrepreneurs, authors, mompreneurs, and professionals today. She is the president of the award-winning firm Expert Celebrity Branding, and the Wall Street Journal calls her the marketing maven. This podcast will be interviewing this generation, those who are doing things differently because of their perceptual shift of what success looks like, and who are driven by attitude, not age. They know anything is possible, and you'll hear how this generation feels the fear and keeps going anyway to achieve their goals and dreams, whether they be in business, sports, the arts, or lifestyle.
Welcome to Generation Why Not. I'm Ruth Klein, your host. And Generation Why Not is a generation that is driven by attitude, not age. So you have anywhere from a teen to a 90-year-old in Generation Why Not. And this generation embraces and engages with leaders and high performers by looking how each group, each demographic model shares similarities instead of differences. And today, we have a very dear friend and colleague, Joe Swinger, with us. And Joe is the founder and CEO of the Silver Linings Network, an organization that helps midlife adults make the second half of their life the best half by living their VIP life, and I love this, of vibrancy, impact, and purpose. And he is also the author of this wonderful, wonderful book called Awaken, the Magic Within, the 7 Essential Virtues for Incredible Success, as well as the host of the Silver Linings podcast. And Joe is a certified Jack Canfield Success Principal Trainer, and he currently lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, thank you, Ruth. I'm so excited to be on the show.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you. I'm thrilled to have you. In fact, I think I'm having you back. You were one of our first interviewees, and now you're doing some different things. And so I find what you're doing just so exciting, and you're definitely Generation Why Not. So can you share with our listeners what it is that you're doing now, and what was the pivotal decision that got you into this?
Yeah, so about a year ago, I left what corporate jail, I call it. So I left corporate jail after about 30 years and decided to go be a full-time coach. And it was quite a transformation because I had been running teams of 200 people, and I was a rock star performer. And I go from that to being a one-man office at home. So it was quite a challenge, scheduling and running my day. As I investigated and got more into it, I found out that it's really common with older folks that you work all your life, you save all this money, and many people have this dream of, okay, once I get out or I retire, I'm going to finally do what I want. What you don't know is that when you get to that age, whether it be in the 50s or 60s or 70s, you have changed, things have changed, your body has changed. I decided that, I'm in the AARP and there's 36 million people, and that's a lobbying organization that what I call is the nuts and bolts to get you from where you are to the grave. They're going to show you about insurance and how to avoid fraud, all those kind of things. But it's nothing about living a vibrant life. It's nothing about having impact or purpose. The Silver Linings is a complement to that. But we're going to focus on how do you grow as an individual? How do you take those last 20 or 30 years, take all the pain and the suffering and the failures of the first half and use that as wisdom in the second half to really live a life of vibrancy, impact, and purpose. And it's been the greatest mission that I've been on so far.
I absolutely love that. It was difficult, wasn't it, for you to leave the safety net, or what we mentally think of the safety net of a corporate job? You have your paycheck, you know what your schedule is, you may be dying in it, but at least we think that that's a safety net. Did you feel that?
Absolutely, Ruth. There's structure around the chaos. Even if you don't get promoted and it's difficult, you have the paycheck and the insurance and your vacation. But as you get older and that clock starts ticking, in my case, I came to a decision that I was going to have to act and take a chance on the company, or I was going to take a chance on Joe. And that's when I left and decided that the time is so short and I had to take a chance on myself. That's, I think, what you speak about, taking that inspired action in your book, is that it's not just, I'm disgruntled on the job, I'm going to quit and look for another one. It's like life is going to change today. And that's what happened to me.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I love that. You're going to take a chance on the company or take a chance on you, Joe. And what you're really saying, I think, is successful entrepreneurs, no matter what the age is, this generation, why not? We have a tendency to take a chance on ourselves, which really means we're investing in ourselves, which is probably one of the best investments we can make. What's your feeling on that?
I totally agree. If you're not going to invest in yourself, who are you going to invest in? The entrepreneur life is totally different, and it took some getting used to. But what's great about it is that, we all want to make money right away. We all want to, get success right away. But it's an education. It's like you're going to college or you're educating yourself, and you have to pay for classes and coaches and, training. And it takes time to get where you want to go. And I totally recommend you have to have a coach or a mentor, somebody who's been there, before you.
Absolutely. You took all your knowledge, and I know you've been a student of personal development for many, many years. And then you took that leap, that scary leap. And yes, I remember that it was like walking on a tightrope at first.
The worst thing you could do is have one foot in your career and the one foot in your dream outside. You're in that state, and it's a no-win situation. And I've talked to people now that you are never going to be the best you can be if you're trying to do it as a side hustle. And, maybe do it until you can make the jump. But you're just never going to be, whether a great coach or whatever.
And you experienced that, didn't you, Joe? Didn't you have one foot in and one foot out? One foot in corporate world and one foot in your coaching at first?
Yes, I had that for many years. And it's kind of like, it's always with you. Do I quit or don't I quit? And then when you quit, you sit there and you think, well, did I make the right decision or not the right decision? And at some point, that person dissolves. And it finally happened after many months, because I always compared myself as a entrepreneur to that guy that was a rock star in corporate. It was difficult to live up to those standards, but I'm a different person now. And that's just a transformation people need to go through.
Yeah, exactly. You had only known then what you know now. How would that have made your life different?
Scary, because people fear the unknown. You don't know. If I had known that things were going to turn out well, I would have left earlier. But many people have self-limiting beliefs. They play the victim role, and maybe people have pressures from their spouse. So there's a lot of variables involved, but you have to believe in yourself at some point and say, this is enough, whether it's a job or a relationship or anything you're doing.
Right. So tell us what you're doing now.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I'm launching the Silver Linings podcast, where I'm going to have guests on the show who talk about making the second half of life the best half. And they'll be in different areas in business and health and those kind of areas, publishing. I'm also launching I have my Silver Linings private Facebook group, where I'm doing speaking events. And then on the horizon in 2021, hopefully, if we have live events, I'm launching my VIP talks, which is going to be talks by middle-aged people, like say over 40. They're going to speak on vibrancy, impact, or purpose, kind of like a compliment to the TED Talk. And then I'm going to have my Silver Linings Awards, where the chambers and that they always have the 20 to watch under 20 and or
right.
things like that,
Right.
30 under 30.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do the 20 over 40 and the 20 over 50. You know, people that have done great things in their second half. And so I've got a lot of things I want to do. But right now it's basically growing the network and the organization and the podcast.
What are you doing with books? I know you're doing some stuff with books too.
Yeah, so you mentioned my book, Awaken the Magic. I'm doing a children's version on the 7 virtues. That's completed and at the publisher. And
awesome.
and then a screenplay. I adapted a screenplay that a director wanted, and it's with a director right now. So lots of things going on, and I took on ghostwriting too. It wasn't anything that I wanted to do. It just kind of came to me, and I starting to do that. And that's getting back into writing. I hadn't been writing for a couple of years, and it really made me realize I used to be so proficient and prolific on writing these things, and I just didn't do it for a couple of years.
Did you feel that being in this limbo between corporate America and entrepreneurship, did you feel that may have squished some of your creativity out the door?
Well, it did, because there were difficult days when you're in a state of anxiety or indecision. And did I make the right thing? I mean, that happened quite a bit. I wasn't putting myself in creative situations. When I did that screenplay adaptation, I had written screenplays in Hollywood 30 years ago, and I realized how much I loved it. And I was doing a lot in leadership, and I was just, you're doing the corporate thing, but I love writing because I love impacting people.
Well, that you do, Joe. That you do. I love hearing all this. I mean, just the energy, let alone the creativity, let alone the creativity that's required in everything that you're doing. So what are 3 success principles that you would like to share with our listeners?
Well, I think the first one is fundamental, and you have to take 100% responsibility for your actions and your thoughts and your feelings. And you can't play the victim role. You can't blame the boss at work, and you can't blame the spouse, and you can't blame the parents for anything that's happening in your life. I mean, you accept them for what they did in the past, but you have to own it going forward. So if you're going to live a vibrant life, you can't live with resentment. You have to forgive people. You have to have that energy opened up. You basically have to start with that on who am I going to be and what am I going to do. So I would say that's the first one. The second one, and I mentioned it earlier, is about taking inspired action. Once you know what you want to do, and of course it takes some time, but you have to act upon it. I had self-esteem issues for many years, and I would keep getting a degree and another degree and another degree until I realized that it wasn't the degree that was the problem. And many people are afraid to take action. Like they feel they're going to have imposter syndrome if they write that book or if they teach that course, or, who am I to? So you have to take inspired action and act as if you're going to accomplish that goal. You know what I mean? And just don't worry about the how. The how is going to show itself. And number 3, I'd like to say, you have to have a purpose and give yourself a lot of self-love. It's funny when I do these workshops, and people will always have a list of things that they dislike about themselves, but you ask them to compile a list of 10 things that you love about yourself. You're lucky if you get 1 or 2. I mean, people just do not love themselves. Believe it. I'm the guy that used to beat myself up all the time. I had very high standards. And you have to love yourself every single day and show gratitude. Whether you do a gratitude journal or meditation, it's very important in the morning, and then go on with the day. And if you don't accomplish everything, then look yourself in the mirror and praise yourself for what you got done. Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah, I love that. So many people speak of self-love, particularly women, and so I love hearing it coming from a male. And a lot of women and men don't really know what self-love really means. And they don't know what actions. Can you open up the conversation a little bit to help men and women understand what is it real self-love, and how do you acquire that?
The first thing, you have to accept who you are with all your shortcomings, right? No matter how you look, whether you're thin or overweight or no hair. So you have to accept all that. And then you have to accept all your other things that you're not skilled in. To be a leader, you're not competent in everything. You have opportunities in areas.
Right.
And just as people, we have opportunities as a parent. I love to be the greatest parent, but I'm sure my kids would differ. But I have to accept myself, transform yourself and try to be the best. So I would call myself stupid. You didn't do that, stupid, or you didn't get that done today. Or, I would beat myself up like I told you. And it's a lot of that negative language. And I know I've spoken with you about that, how important it is that I would talk to you and you would pick out the words. And, and so it's just listening to yourself. And so it starts with you. And then when you work with people in relationships and family, no negative talk either. It just has to be positive, life affirming. That's the first thing. There's so many people that hate their bodies. There's so many people that hate the way they talk. They have an accent. We're all unique. We're all beautiful children of the Creator. And we all have something to offer to the world, and that's the VIP life. What is that purpose, and how are you going to impact others and bring it in a vibrant way? If you hate yourself, you're not going to be vibrant.
And when I think of vibrancy, I think of excited. I think of self-motivated. I think of a lot of energy. Is that how you're defining vibrancy?
Absolutely. You have a great day. There's sometimes people say, "Wow, I had a great day," or you're just on a trip, or you're doing something, and it's just like looking at vibrant colors or dull colors. Really, it's that simple. Your life could be vibrant. It's filled with a great relationship, and you do great things for the community, and you're working on projects, and you have great family life. Or the people that are just living that dull life, that go to work, a job they hate, are in a relationship they hate. You don't want to throw the whole thing out, but you do have to have a plan, a step at a time. That's why it's important to get a coach. Hey, this is where I am. This is what I've been trying. It's not working. This is where I want to go. Let's put a plan together, and like a 90-day plan, and how can we at least start the process?
Exactly. I love that. I absolutely love that. So let me ask you, I know that you're a coach, of course. Do you put your own 90-day plan together?
I do. I have a monthly plan. Well, you should be doing it on a smaller scale too, like what do you want to do today? But I have a 30-day and a 90-day plan. Yes. Mm-hmm. And what are the goals you want to do? Yeah, and then you should review it after the month. Obviously, I got a lot of that from you. You're the time management expert, and so I've learned a lot.
Well, I love that. I absolutely love that. So, Joe, how can people get in touch with you?
So there's a couple ways. My email is joe@joeswinger.com. If they want to join my free private group, it's Facebook/group/the Silver Linings Network, and you can just go there and join. And then my website is joeswinger.com. So any one of those, you can probably find a way to get a hold of me. I do offer a free 45-minute planning call where we'll walk you through on the phone for the next 90 days, and you can go and put it into action. And then if you want my assistance, we could talk about that too.
I love that. A lot of coaches don't offer actual coaching along the way, and to help them identify a 90-day plan, that's huge. And to be able to do that in 45 minutes, that's your master coach. You are a good listener. That's right. That's the combination. A master coach being a really good listener, being intuitive, and knowing your craft so well that it just automatically, how to guide them.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things is typically the client does not have lack of clarity. And I was in that state, right? I didn't know if I wanted to leave work or what I wanted to do. And if you can give them the clarity, what is the prize at the end of the 90 days, and then work backwards. That's really where a coach comes into play, and to peel away all those other layers.
It's so true. It's so true. So what is one last gem you'd like to share? You've shared so many. One last to let our listeners know.
You took so many of mine away already. Let me see. I think, I talk about perseverance and faith. And I think that's really key. We talked about a lot of things today to get going, to take action, but it's really a long game. And if you don't see results quick, it's easy to just give up and say, well, I'm going to start looking for a job again. And believe me, I've done it many, many times. But this time I said, it's not going to happen. And have faith that it's going to happen. You may not know the how. And then the perseverance that every day, just keep focusing on it. And don't forget to give yourself some me time, whether that's, wherever you are, you have to take care of yourself. Your health is so critical. That will probably do it. That will get you the 80, the 20 will get you the 80.
That's wonderful. Joe, thank you so much for sharing your heart and sharing some really wonderful insights and how you came to be successful Generation Y, how you are, and some of the real emotional limitations that you had going from corporate to entrepreneurship, because you had mentioned it's a different game, and it is truly entirely is a different game. And to be able to relearn a new way of being in business and then pursuing and having the energy and the creativity to move forward as you are in so many of your areas where you're absolutely brilliant. It's really inspiring to hear. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ruth. I have been so thrilled to be on here. And that's exactly what you said. It's that perseverance, that don't give up on yourself and start looking for another job. Make today the day that you're going to decide that your life is going to change.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe.
Bye-bye.
So I'm going to share just a couple of highlights here. Joe had shared many. Some of those super gems, although so much of it was. So I'm just going to pick a few. But I remember when Joe said at the beginning, often take a chance. And you have a choice. You can take a chance on your company that you're working for, or you can take a chance on yourself. And Joe took a chance on Joe. I love that, because it really is. Are you going to invest your time and health and the money in your company, which is fine. But if you want to change, are you willing? Are you willing to take that huge leap? And yes, it is a huge leap to go from corporate, which is a whole different mindset, to entrepreneurship and be able to invest your money and time and health and energy in that. It's important, no matter where you are, whether it's corporate or whether you are in entrepreneurship or if you're just vacationing, to always be educating yourself. Joe had certainly a lifelong learner and is always learning. And I know for myself, I just absolutely love to learn new things. I could literally do that all day long. And then someone would have to come get me. And then there are 3 success principles that I think are so important that Joe shared. And he shares this with his clients. So he was able to share with us what he also shares with his clients. And that is to take 100% responsibility for your actions, your words, your thoughts, and your behavior. It's not about blaming anyone. There's no room for blame anymore, including yourself, by the way. It's not about blaming yourself either. It's about taking responsibility 100%. And then also to take inspired action. And I agree with Joe. There's a big difference between taking action and taking inspired action. Inspired action, I did that this afternoon. It took me about 30 minutes because I was inspired to do something, where if I wasn't inspired, it would have probably taken me, an hour and a half or 2 hours. That's what inspired action is. And it's acting as if Joe shared, which is so true. Just act as if you are the success that you want to be, that you are the person that you want to be, that you are the professional or entrepreneur that you want to be, that you have the income that you want. act as if. And then third, he shared, have a purpose and give yourself lots of self-love. And quite honestly, I love hearing that from a man because I don't usually hear that. And Joe is incredibly heart-centered, and so it makes perfect sense. And I think men hearing it from another man makes a big difference. It truly makes a difference. And I think of all the pieces that Joe shared on self-love, that piece about accept yourself with all your shortcomings and strengths, I think that is the key. That is the key. It's not only the key with self-love, I do believe it's also the ingredients that are needed for unconditional love in relationships. And he also mentioned that it's a long game. It's not about getting results right away. It's about staying in it and give yourself the chance, really give yourself the chance. And for those that would love to have a 45-minute planning call with Joe, I heartily recommend it. You might want to go to his website, joeswinger.com, and you'll find information for his Facebook group, as well as his speaking groups and all the things that he's doing. I'm Ruth Klein, your host for Generation Why Not. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you. And be purposeful and have self-love. Until next time.
Thank you for joining Generation Why Not. We look forward to receiving any questions you may have, as Ruth will be answering them on this podcast. Follow Ruth.Klein on Instagram or email rklein@ruthklein.com. Until next time, a short reminder that success is driven by attitude, not age.